Mr. Tate. He's a real thing.
Hey, stranger. I think your ship's missing something. Me? I'm the best survivalist around, and I'm looking for work. You interested? I know a lot about firearms, and I'm one hell of a shot. You can trust me to back you up in any fight we come across. And that goes double for hunting aliens. I've gone toe-to-toe with creatures that make your head spin, and I've barely broken a sweat. On the contrary, you look as tough as they come. I like that in a person. Means you're not afraid to get your boots dirty out in the space lanes. And if that's the case, then you need backup. That's where a hard-blooded guy like me comes in. Well, that's great. Now, I'm not a greedy man, but I expect fair compensation. Got family nearby that need providing for.
Little tight on credits, are you? I hear you. Maybe we can work something out. That's true.
I think I can swing that. You seem like decent folk. I'd like to help you out. Fantastic. You won't regret it. Just need to get my hands on a couple supplies, and then I'll head to my post. Appreciate the offer, boss.
I could do with a little excitement.
Sure, knock yourself out. Difficult and lonely are the first words that spring to mind. My folks moved to Akila out of necessity, not because they thought it'd be easy. They had decades of survival experience between them when we got there. There were still plenty of close calls. Damn near everything wanted to kill us out there. We had to be tough as Kevlar and stubborn as gravity just to make it to sundown every day. Sometimes. I don't miss having to check around every corner for predatory aliens, but there's something magical about living off the land. When a place is providing for you, you learn to see it as more than just a landscape. And that's how I feel about Akila. It's mean and prickly, and it don't like people much, but it's home. I'll always have a special place in my heart for it. I was 10, old enough to understand why my parents made the choice to leave behind the farm where I was born and move to Akila. We lived out there for 5 years, long enough for the war to end and the settled systems to quiet down afterward. Fire, starvation, sickness, you name it, the Brewers probably lived through it. But the most dangerous thing out there were the Ashta, of course. We tried our damnedest to stay out of their way. That didn't always pan out. They knew we were there, and they didn't like it. Best we could do was stay armed to keep the outpost in good shape. It was the only place we could hide when a hungry Ashta showed up looking for a meal. I'll be sure to pass that along, Captain. My folks would be over the moons to hear that I shared our family story. Mainly folks like you, who travel off the beaten path. All sorts of people work on the fringes of occupied space, and plenty of them need help making their way. I've worked for smugglers, big game hunters, the rangers. Hell, I even worked as a bodyguard for a biologist a couple months. At the end of the day, I'm not picky about where the work comes from. I guess you could say I'm a genuine merc. A few people have hired me to run the Red Mile with them. That job always makes my skin crawl. I like staring death in the face as much as the next guy, but even I don't screw around on Porima 3. Far from it. I barely know a microscope from a grav drive. That biologist hired me for my muscle and my tracking skills. not my scientific expertise. Good thing they did, too. That crazy son of a gun was more willing to put themselves in danger than half the spacers I know. They would have walked straight into a predator's mouth if it meant getting a better tissue sample. Wrong side of the law is just a matter of perspective. That's what I always say. I've met plenty of criminals who are decent people. Your position on crime's your business, not mine. I'll back you up as long as you keep the paychecks coming. My family needs the credits to, settle an old debt.
My folks used to own a farm in the Cheyenne system. When they split for Akila at the beginning of the war, they leased the land to a big corporation for a bit of income. The deal they signed said that the company would pay to use the land each month. Then, when things settled down, my parents could buy it back for its original value. But the scumbags didn't mention they were charging interest on the price. By the time the war ended, my parents owed them 50 times what the land was worth. They've been working at it for about 20 years. Most folks might have given up by now. Like I said before, the Brewers are stubborn. The corporation generously agreed to let them live in our old house on the farm and work the land to pay off some of their debts. They don't see a lick of profit from it, though. Their wages go directly to the corporation, and the monthly rent just adds more credits to their debt. You and me both. They clearly wrote the contract to screw my parents over. We've been working our asses off for years, trying to get our land back from those corporate scumbags. We're getting there. We've got enough credits set aside to buy their old farmhouse on the property back. But my parents don't want to make any moves until we can pay the whole thing off at once. They don't want to screw around with any more contracts. It's not just a piece of land. It's my family's legacy. The Brewers have farmed there for generations. My ancestors are buried there. It's not the kind of place you can just give up on. Just talking about it makes me pretty livid. That damn corporation don't need the money. They're still screwing over honest folk like my parents. I know it weighs heavy on them both. Here's hoping the whole thing will be over soon. We're making some progress, but it's slow going.
You got it, boss.